Today we are going to talk about business model canvas, and Vinita ji from your institute has been trying very hard to get this session arranged. Thanks to her perseverance, we are today sitting here and discussing business model canvas. I would like to thank DY Patil University. I deliver talks on a lot of aspects, and to tell you frankly, there are very few universities or colleges that talk about having a session on something like business model canvas. So I understand that if we are having a session on business model canvas, that essentially means that you would have quite a few um, students, faculty members there who would be interested in understanding what exactly would a business model canvas be, and that essentially also means that you have I would say, a matured entrepreneurship ecosystem within your college, or at least that is something that you guys are aiming at reaching. So let's start with the presentation. I'll share a few slides. We'll keep the format such that you guys can ask me questions in between. I don't really mind. Let me know once it is visible. I'll push it to presentation mode.
Yes,
Visible?
sir. The slides are visible.
Great.
So just they have to be on a slideshow mode.
Yeah. I'll push it to presentation. Good enough?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about business model canvas. Uh, what exactly would a business model canvas be? Well, a business model canvas is nothing but a one-pager document that defines the business in totality. Okay, right from what you do to how you do to what are the uh, USPs or the main parameters of value of the product or services you deliver, to the customers that you cater to the cost structure that the company or the organization adheres to, and also the revenue stream. So, in short, it is the profile of your organization in a single page. Okay, this is what it looks like. So, a business model canvas typically has 9 columns or 9 boxes, I would say. These boxes are key partners, key activities, what are the key resources, the value proposition, the customer relationship, the channels, the customer segments, the cost structure, and the revenue stream. So these are the, and when do we really need it? More importantly, we need it in scenarios where we want to present our business to somebody. I would not really call it kind of an elevator pitch, but it's more like an investor's pitch or an investor's document, where an investor, a person who's interested in investing in your business or your idea, would want to understand all these things about your business, or at least your thought process about all these specific segments in your business. Because when somebody invests in your business, he invests in your idea. Because when you're looking for investment, that essentially means that the business is not big enough right now. You're looking for support, external support to drive the business at this point in time, and that's when the person, whoever who wants to support you in this endeavor, would like to understand what exactly the business is, what all do you do in the business, how do you achieve your revenues, what are the cost structures. So this is basically a model that has been devised to understand the core of the business, right from how it started to what it is doing, to what drives the business, and how do you get the money out of it. This part of the business model canvas is something that I say is extremely important, the revenue stream, because to my mind, the end objective of any business is to make money now as well as in future. So unless your revenue streams are absolutely clear, uh, neither nobody would like to invest in your business, and you yourself should also not invest in your business unless you're absolutely clear about what is going to be the revenue stream of the business. And when we talk about revenue stream, value proposition customer segment becomes important. We'll discuss this in details as we go further. Now let's start having a look at the various boxes within this business model canvas one at a time. Let's first talk about customer segments. Is it okay if I keep this more as an interactive session than uh, than me just giving talks?
Yes,
Rita?
sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Good enough. So at this point, I would like to understand from people what do they know about customer segment. So Vinita, give me a little bit of brief about uh, what do these students really do, or who are the participants. I would like to understand a little bit about participants so that I can explain customer segments from their perspective at this point.
Yes, sir. The participants here are the students from Masters in Pharmacy, as well
Okay.
as some undergraduate students starting from first year to final year. And also there are
Okay.
some faculties
Okay. Okay.
from B Pharm, Pharmacy.
Okay. Okay. Good enough. So, when we talk about customer segments, what is it that you guys understand from the word customer segments? Any idea? Because see, I can keep talking about it, but I would like to understand कि भाई मैं क्या बताऊं तो आप लोगों को what is it that you would exactly understand when I start talking about? Anybody from you would like to answer this?
Participants can unmute themselves and interact with.
So may I?
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
By the term customer segment, we can understand that it is a specific group of person or individuals which are perfect fit for our services or product.
Mhm. Rightly so. Yes, customer segment does mean that. At this point in time, when we are writing customer segments in the business model canvas, we probably need to understand who all we treat as our customer segment. Okay. As in, who all do we feel are our customers? Okay. So when we talk about customer segments, we need to be absolutely clear as to who is my target audience. So there are several segments of customers that you can target for a particular product that you have. Something wrong with my system. Slides are not changing.
So the
Just give me a minute.
slides are visible, sir. Only they have to be on a slideshow mode.
Yes, but I'm not able to do that. That's what I'm trying to do. Just give me a minute.
Yes.
Now they are in the slideshow.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
So when we are talking about customer segments, we need to understand that who all are our customers, who all are we targeting. So at this same point of time, we also need to understand what are the customer needs. So when you're filling up the block of customer segments, you need to identify what are the multiple customers that you're targeting, who exactly is your customer, what is the need of your customer, and like I said, the last point mentions, and more importantly, have you identified the customer need correctly? There is something that's called as the latent need of the customer. We say that when Apple made iPhone, nobody asked about a phone without a keypad, but Apple nonetheless made a phone without a keypad, and it revolutionized the phone industry, the handphone industry. So these are latent needs that we still need to identify from the customer. That's where I say that, and more importantly, have we identified the customer needs correctly? This is about customer segments. When we talk about now next, so why am I? If you look at the canvas, customer segment is on the extreme right. The value proposition comes in between. Then there are some other columns. Why am I going in an ad hoc way? I'm going in this way because this is how you should ideally plot your business model canvas. The first thing that you need to plot is the customer segment, because we need to identify. We say that when we are trying to solve a problem, we need to know the problem correctly. That's where we say that. And more importantly, have you identified the customer need correctly? What do you do in a business, or what do you do in a startup? You're trying to solve a problem. So if you're trying to solve a problem, you need to at least know the problem absolutely correctly. You need to have ramrod clarity about what exactly is the problem you're trying to solve. That's why the customer segment first. Now, once you have identified the problem that you're solving, that then comes the value proposition. Then you need to tell what exactly is the solution that you're proposing to the problem that you are trying to solve. Okay. In the value proposition segment, you need to identify what is the uniqueness of the solution that you are offering, and why should the customer take your solution, why the customer should migrate to your solution. Say, for example, there are many toothpaste brands. There's a Colgate, there's a Patanjali, there's a Close Up. There are multiple toothpaste brands from Colgate, Palmolive, from Hindustan Unilever, from Patanjali. Each one advertises themselves with a different value proposition to the customer. Okay. So at that time, you need to identify what is the value proposition and why should, because the value proposition becomes extremely important. That is what tells that why should a customer migrate, because until now also that need of the customer was being met. Now you're saying that you satisfy your need using my product or my services. Why should the customer move? What is the motivation for the customer to move? And now that I'm talking about motivation, I always keep saying that there are only three things that motivates any human being. Only three things. The first is fear, the second is greed, and the third is passion. Okay. So the moment you want to motivate anybody to do anything, you need to see which of these three emotions are you trying to evoke in the person. Because unless one of these three emotions are evoked, the person would not be motivated enough to do what you feel. So at this point in time, during the value proposition, you need to see why should the customer migrate, and at that same point of time, you need to probably answer it using this same funda where I said that you need to identify कि भाई क्या है, fear है, greed है या passion है, मैं क्या evoke करूँ जिसकी वजह से customer जो है वो मेरे पास आएगा for this particular product. Okay. Now next we'll move to channels. Okay. When we are talking about channels, there are multiple things that we are talking about in the channels. Okay. You have an end customer, you have your internal customers. There are many people, and to my mind, whoever you interact with during the course of your business at some point of time or the other affects you, okay, and affects the business in turn. Therefore, you need to find a way of communicating with each of these various entities in a certain way so that it affects the business positive. That is where we talk about channel. The first part of the channel being, how do you communicate with your customer? Does the customer have a proper outreach channel to come and give you feedback, or is there a hotline number or something that's available so that the customer can reach you back? Then how do you manage the supply chain? Who is managing the last mile delivery? How is the product reaching the customer? What is the experience? What is the customer experience of accepting the product for that? Is the experience good? Is the experience bad? Because many times what happens is, though the product is very good, but the shopping experience was not pleasant, I'll never go to that place again. Okay. Apart from that, you also need to identify what are the various, like we said that, we identified the customer segments. At the same time, we need to identify, are we selling all these different customer segments using the same channel, or are there different channels needed? That's where the strategy of Maruti converting from Maruti Suzuki Arena to Nexa came into picture. Maruti thought that there is a different customer segment that they want to target at certain point in time. That's where they change their channel through which they should reach those customers. Okay, so at different points, so for example, if you want to reach a customer segment that's on the higher strata of the social circle, the affluent class customer, you would want to give him something more than comfort. You would probably want to give him luxury. You would probably want to give him a fantastic buying experience. That's where you kind of move him to a different kind of your showroom or shop to provide him that experience. Okay, you imagine, you buy grocery from Dorabji's, you buy grocery from DMart. What is the difference in the experience that there's a different experience that you get of all these different places. So that's the customer, that's the channel part. Now let's talk about customer relations. That's where we talk about, how does the customer interact with you? More importantly, and what is very important over here is, in the first segment, we identified the value proposition or the USP or the main parameter of value. Okay. Now, during the customer relation, we need to interact with customer to identify the USP that I had actually pointed out. Is it really being delivered? Is the customer really getting what I thought he or she should get from the product that I promised the customer a certain something. Okay. For him to move from somebody else's product to my product, I promised him a certain something. Now I need to ascertain whether I'm actually delivering that promise. Okay, because यार देखिए, customer is buying a product वो daily purchase कर. It's not like वो politician वाला promise है कि आपने एक बार promise कर दिया, आप elect हो गए 5 साल तक तो आप रहेंगे. Customer है, he will change his mind on the very next day. At the same time, you also need to identify, is there a premium product also that you want to offer? Is there a premium product that you want to supply to the customer? Okay. Now, next part, we move to the revenue stream. Now, try to understand that this is where we started. Okay. There was a whole left side and there was a whole right side of this thing. Now what we have done is we have gone through the right side, right part of the thing, the customer segment, the value proposition, the customer relation, stuff like that. Okay. Now we come to the revenue stream. Why do I have this weightlifting guy sitting? The revenue totally depends on the customer segment and the value proposition. There is a certain customer segment that you identified, and there is a certain value proposition that you pitched to the customer. For each customer segment, if the value proposition is met, that is when the revenue channel opens. Each of these different customer segment and value propositions are different revenue channels. We need to understand this. Take, for example, Facebook. Advertisers are one set of revenue channel for them. Okay. And similarly, there are several other revenue channels from them. There are ISPs, that is a separate set of revenue channel. There's a internet traffic, that is a separate set of revenue channel for them. So each of these customer segments are different, and each of these customer segments come to the platform for a different value proposition. When both these things are met, that is when the revenue channel opens up. Okay, so basically the customer segment and the value proposition leads to the opening of the revenue channel and thereby the revenue channel. Now at this point of time, we are pretty much done with half of the business model canvas. We are through with half of the business model canvas, and what I call as the external part of the business model canvas. From the right of the value proposition is the external of the business model canvas. On the left of the value proposition is the internal of the business model. And the value proposition is the meeting point. Now, at this point of time, I would like to take a few questions if there are any. I'll wait for a couple of minutes and see if there are any questions. If there are questions, we'll take questions. Else, we'll move to the other parts of the presentation. Yes, guys.
Yes, if there are any questions from the participants, they can ask the questions.
Sir, when we are pitching our business model to investor, which are the important points that we should take care of?
when you are pitching the business model to the customer,
Investor, sir.
investor, okay, when you're pitching the business model to the investor, it is absolutely simple. Why should a investor invest in your business? And why are we making this business model canvas? We are making this business model canvas because we want the investor to understand the business in totality on one's level. What you need to be absolutely careful of is when you are talking about customer segment and the value proposition, and these two coming together to form a revenue stream, those three should fall in sync. It should not be a position where तुम्हारा revenue channel कुछ और है, you are saying कि customer segment कुछ तीसरा ही है and value proposition कुछ है ही नहीं that relates these two. Okay, say for example, if you are a D2C, if you're trying to make a D2C brand for say grocery, and you say that my customer segment is elite class, okay, but I am making a D2C brand for grocery in a suburban area. तो आपने तो वहाँ कस्टमर सेगमेंट अपना अलग चूज करा हुआ है और चैनल डिफरेंट है. Okay, so these three things should fall in sync: the value proposition, the customer segment, and then the revenue stream. Because if the value proposition and the customer segment are not in sync, you will not have a revenue stream. And if you don't have a revenue stream, nobody will invest in the business. Am I clear?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
This participant, you can freely ask the question. If anything that you're not understood, any terminology, you can ask.
So
Yes.
yeah, instead of asking question, is it okay if I share a BMC and so will like guide me? Is it okay, or are there any mistakes in that?
I would say that if you want to share a BMC,
Yeah.
we should probably finish this. We should sit for a separate session on the BMC that you want to share. Because, if we talk about a BMC, it's going to go at length. And I would not really want to, talk about it in brief. It will not do justice to the task.
Okay, so I got it. Yeah. I would like to get in touch with you for further discussion.
Sure. We can get in touch. We can get in touch for this further discussion, because BMC is something that's elaborate, If I tell you that nahi BMC आप मेरे को अभी दिखाओ और मैं 5 मिनट में बता दूंगा, then I'll not be doing justice.
Yes, like just few things like is it properly framed? All things are
So for that I need to understand your business model completely. To comment on the business model canvas, I need to first have a fair idea about your business model.
Yeah,
understood. What exactly is it you want?
Yeah, I get you. Sir. Thank you, sir.
And it's really good to know that there are certain people who already have a business model canvas. I'm really deleted, It's really nice. Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other specific question? Or should we move on?
Participant can also post their question in chat box. So we can also take your questions.
So one more thing, if you allow.
Yes.
Is it okay to disclose our BMC prior, before getting any registrations or approvals?
What kind of registrations or approvals you're talking about?
Maybe if the business model has some IPs or things included, or some unique processes.
What IP can the business model have? Tell me.
I'm just asking in general, like, is there any chance of getting the idea copied or?
Yeah, there are chances. But chances they are always there. So that's why I say that you should always be cautious about what you're showing and what you should show, what you should not show. Okay. That's extremely important. But then at the same time, I personally feel that business model canvas, we make a high level document. If you're not making it as a high level document, then we need to understand how much deep dive you have done there. Because to my mind, you should not do a lot of deep dive when you're showing a business model canvas, because you show the canvas to a lot of people, and investors who are really serious would of course get in touch with you to understand this in more greater details. You don't want to show the details to any and everybody who comes your way.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, okay. I think we should move ahead.
Yes.
Okay, now that we are halfway through, the next part is the other half, where we start talking about key partners, key activities, and key resources. And the names are pretty much suggestive of it. Key activities are the crucial tasks that are required to deliver the value proposition that you identified right at the beginning. Activities to meet the product standard, activities to meet the service quality that you're pitching, and what exactly is necessary to make the product work the way you want it to work. So key activities are those specific activities that are pretty much needed at this point in time for the product to perform the way you want it to perform. Okay. These are the key activities. Now, these key activities have a cost to it. They come with a cost. That's where we say that when we talk about key activities, we also talk about key resources. So when you want to perform certain tasks, you need certain resources to perform the tasks. When you talk about key resources, there are two parts to the resources that you have. One, those are those resources that are needed for you to deliver the value proposition that you're talking about. And two, can you have other resources to increase the revenue stream? Like say differentiated products. In the product segment, you can talk about differentiated. What are the differentiated products that you can offer? That can be one of the key resources for you to increase the revenue stream. Next is the scope. What is the scope of service? When you talk about key resource, you talk about the infra that you need to provide the services or to provide the product that you want to, show to the customer. Then one of the major key resources are the people, the man management. No organization exists without people in the organization. Then one other major key resource is the technology, the tech infrastructure of the organization. So what is the tech infra needed? At this point in time, so basically, when you talk about key resources, you are also in some way talking about the amount of investment that you need to put in so that the business runs. Okay. Next, you talk about the key partners. So what is part of the left equation is key activities plus key resources. They lead to the cost. Okay. This is the left of the equation. Now, key partners, why? Because it is important to understand that you can't do everything. Okay. Right from manufacturing to fabrication to packaging to sales to supply chain. You can't do everything. Okay. So there are times when you need, and it is not even advisable to do it. Because each of these things, if they are interested on people who are experts at these experts would come at a cost. And you don't need an expert in everything to come at a cost to the organization. There'll be a huge capex or a huge opex as well coming with it. So probably you need to, logically identify what is it that you would want to do yourself and what is it that you would probably want to get done through your partners. So at this point in time, what becomes extremely important is who are going to be your key partners. Say for example, what Ola did. Ola was an aggregator platform. Ola did not say कि भाई मैं अपना ही पूरा fleet बनाऊंगा और मैं 10-12 लाख गाड़ियां खरीद के तब ये चलाऊंगा ट्रांसपोर्ट का. Ola said I'll become an aggregator platform. My drivers are my key partners. So they pivoted the business model of transport altogether. Tours and travels का business model ही pivot कर दिया उन लोगों ने totally just by looking at partners more intently. Okay. So if you were trying to open a travel business, you start looking at partners and you say that, if I can have partners in other states, I can have partners across the globe and reduce my capex of owning vehicles. That reduces my capex big time. Now all where I need to invest is technology. So when you start thinking more intently on these aspects, there are high possibilities that you will come up with an alternate business model as well that can support the business in a much better way. And what is extremely important is in these testing times, in these COVID times, we have understood that businesses that were spendthrift, businesses that were spending a lot of money have not lasted. Okay. So if you want to build an organization that would be called as built to last, you need to keep it lean and you need to keep it profitable to the extent possible. How can you do that? By entrusting your partners and having a quality check methodology to ensure that the partners are delivering the quality that they are. So at one point of time, you also become a customer to these partners. And you know how we treat our customers. We treat our customers with extreme care and importance. So if we are customers to people whose products are in turn serving my customer would be served in a even better. So we need to identify key partners and keep the business lean to the extent possible. Now the complete left part of the equation boils down to finally the cost structure. The major contributors to the cost structure are the key activities, the key resources, and the key partners. We need to ascertain whether these three are delivering the value that is desired by the customer. And more importantly, or most importantly, is that value? Is the value that you are delivering enough for you to scale your business? That's the most important question that you need. नहीं तो ऐसा होगा कि जी हम पैसे कमा रहे हैं बट वो पैसा इनफ नहीं. Okay? So this is the final part of the left equation. Value proposition has all these three parameters: key partners, key activities, and key resources. With that, I have tried to squeeze this lecture to the extent possible. Nahi to, this is a 1-2 day workshop, 1 to 2 days workshop. But then we have just spoken about the parameters. We have not really practiced them. It's not really advisable to just speak about them and not practice them. But then the time does not permit us to practice these things at this point. So with that, I have brought an end to this talk, and I would really want to take in questions.
Yes, participants, you can ask questions.
Thank you.